Great. Welcome back, everyone. We're reconvening. We've just adjourned our closed session and we're reconvening an open session. Due to the meeting being teleconferenced, I'm going to ask Angel to verify that we're in compliance and communicate effectively.
All right, Katie, are you able to hear our proceedings on this end?
Katie, can you hear us?
This is why we do this, so we get it right.
Okay. Not watching the. Near us now?
Yeah. Okay. Ms. Jogan, are you able to hear our proceedings on this end? Can you hear us now?
That's weird.
You're not. I can hear you. I can see, but I cannot hear you.
You can hear me now?
No, I cannot hear you.
Check. Are you tuned into the Zoom? Can she do this? Tune into the YouTube feed? Because she
can't participate then.
She can watch. Check. 1, 2. You there? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Now I can hear you.
Okay, how about now?
Yeah.
How about now?
Yeah. Okay. Trustee Shogan, do you have a copy of the agenda for this meeting? Yeah. Has the agenda been posted at your location? Yeah. Is your location such that any member of the public could participate in public portions of the teleconference meeting? Yeah. To our members present and in person today, are you able to hear Ms. Jogan?
Yes.
Thank you. And as a reminder, since we are conducting this meeting via teleconference, all actions will be via roll call vote.
Thank you, Angel. I have a few things to report out, actions taken in closed session. Closed session item C, the board approved by a unanimous vote to approve a settlement agreement with a certificated employee to resolve claims concerning payment of wages and accommodations. And then closed session item D, release of temporary employees. The Board of Trustees took action in closed session today by a unanimous vote to release temporary certificated employees of the district for the 2024-25 school year. So, with those actions taken, we would now like to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, and I would like to ask Ellie to lead us in the pledge today.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I am so excited to see all of these wonderful string players from Glorietta School and our music teacher, John Spears, here today. It's just great to have you. I personally love string players, and I'm looking forward to your musical presentation. So thank you so much for coming.
And I think Miss Natalie, you're going to
start us off.
yes, thank you so much. I have Abby.
Somebody. Okay, so for our presentation tonight, we're going to present the instrumental music program, which is at Glorietta. We're highlighting Glorietta, but it's across the district. And Mr. Spears rotates around to the different campuses. So on Tuesday, he's at Weiner Ranch. Wednesday, Sleepy Hollow. Thursday Del Rey, and Friday at Glorietta. And the students in 4th and 5th grade get to go once a week for 30 minutes. He breaks it up into 4th grade and 5th grade. There's a 4th grade band and a 4th grade string, a 5th grade band and a 5th grade strings. And I believe we have a 5th grade strings here tonight.
We got a combo of both. Yeah,
Okay.
so that's the fourth and
That is correct. Yeah. So we have a couple of both. Sorry, I know you're multitasking.
Look at that. I'm
Okay.
trying.
So they can volunteer. They take time out of their schedule to go do this, so they know that if they miss anything in class, they need to make it up and be responsible with that. Anybody with any experience can be part of the instrumental music program. So whether you've been playing an instrument since you were 2, or if you are brand new to it. And then they do 3 to 4 performances a year,
about that. Yeah.
typically. They partner with OAS and Miramani. They do a whole district presentation, which is actually at the end of this month,
27.
March 27th at Miramani. So they're going to do a whole district. And then the curriculum progresses from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, and then as they move forward too. And I believe I'm going to hand it on over to Mr. Spears unless I have something on another slide that I can't remember. I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Spears.
All right, good evening, everyone. So good. Yeah, we're so excited to be here. I'm so excited to show off some of the very talented 4th and 5th grade string players from Glorietta Elementary. We got a couple of fun tunes to share with you guys. We're going to start off by doing the warm-up scale that we do at the beginning of every single class. You can see exactly how we start off each class. And then we will get started with the pieces we have prepared for you. All right, let's go. Thank you very much. And without further ado, we'll get started on the first piece we have prepared for you, which is a piece called Rustic Dance by Mark Williams. Okay, for the final number we have prepared for you, we're taking you out to the open sea with a fun tune also by Mark Williams called Sailor Song.
And we are so thankful that we have instrumental music and all of this with just 30 minutes a week that the kids get to go and practice.
Yeah,
They do.
oh yeah.
Thank you, thank you. They need just like a minute to clear out.
I don't know if the board, but I would like to personally thank you so much for coming down and playing for us. It's so exciting to hear your music, and we are so lucky here in Orinda to have such great programs and enrichment, and it's amazing. And we're just really excited that we are able in Orinda to have programs like this. So thank you so much for
Thank you
coming
for
down
having
and
me.
sharing it.
Thank you so much.
What a treat. That was just spectacular.
You
Congratulations.
guys are celebrities now.
Definitely.
Mr. Spears, thank you so
So
much.
much.
I know you go to all these schools. The students are extremely talented, but thank you so much for doing our work.
Definitely
Really.
takes an amazing teacher to make all of this happen, and
Thank
we
you.
really
Really
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you
so much, everyone. Really.
Incredible way to start our meeting here and really our week. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hey.
Sure of them really quick.
Yes, I wish you
Yeah.
would, absolutely.
Great.
Stand and bring your instrumental and bring your.
That'd be great. Does the board want to stand up? Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, yeah.
Come on.
Come on, don't be afraid. Come on up.
Okay, now face the audience. There we go.
You want?
Yes.
Just
I do.
like this.
Boy, let's read it.
Yeah, I think we're good. I think everybody's okay. I think everybody's good. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, and the paparazzi goes wild. Okay, guys, thank you. Oh, parents.
Thank you again, everyone.
Thank you so much. It's so good, you know. You may have one there. Good.
Makes me want to pick up piano again. I haven't played since I was in middle school, but
No, actually, she really, it's actually really.
I did for like a minute. Lessons, and then I did not.
Yeah. It's
We're talking about
I don't
piano.
know what.
This is, yeah.
I don't really see it.
It's not. Is it?
Harper, I think.
Harper or the purple one? Yeah. Thank you so
It's like, this is just, oh, thanks. Oh, seriously, these are not video. These are not funny.
Yes. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well done, well done.
All right. That was wonderful. So we move into our public comment period. At a regular meeting of the Board of Trustees, the public may comment on items within the subject matter jurisdiction of the governing board. For items on the agenda, the public may comment at the time the board considers the agenda item. For items not on the agenda, the public may comment under item 6A, public comment. The Board of Trustees requests that individuals who would like to address the Board of Trustees on an item do so by filling out a request to address the OUSD School Board card and turning it into the superintendent prior to the agenda item. Cards are available at the meeting. During a teleconference meeting, individuals who would like to address the Board of Trustees by webcast are asked to complete the online public comment request form found at the link. Members of the public will be enabled to speak their comment. Comments for an agenda item will be accepted until the start of the agenda item. Comments are limited to not more than 3 minutes. Groups are advised to limit their comments to a total of 5 minutes. The board shall limit total time of public comment to 20 minutes. To comply with the Brown Act, the board may listen to comments from the speakers, but can neither discuss nor take action on the issues presented. So currently I have one comment form for item 6A.
Yes.
If there's anyone else who wants to submit a comment form for item 6A, they should do so now before the start of that agenda item. Otherwise, I will call Mr. Brian Rogers for comment.
Good evening, board. My name is Brian Rogers. I'm a parent and have 4 kids in the Orinda schools. I'm speaking as an individual tonight. I also have a role as the president of One Orinda. All my comments are mine. I came and I spoke in the last board meeting that we all take care to come together and respect each other in the negotiations that are going on. To be transparent and to honor the fact that we're all part of this wonderful community that we call home. I'm compelled to speak again tonight because I've personally witnessed and have also been informed of things that have occurred over the past few weeks that are fraying our community and are creating ugly divisions. If we do not stop this, we will cause irreparable, detrimental, and lasting negative consequences to our community and to our schools. Parents in this community support our teachers, and we want teachers to be supported and paid well. But when we parents see some of the things and experience some of the things that we have experienced, such as teachers protesting in front of the sign that shows a $5 million of community support at the intersection of Orinda with signs that say Orinda students deserve better. The message is not landing well. When we're asking our students in classrooms to wear red, to be choosing sides in these negotiations, the message is not landing well. And when parents are afraid to contradict information that they're being told because they fear retribution of their children, the message is not landing well. Parents in this community are not at the table. We have a huge stake in these negotiations. The money that we fundraise from this community supports dozens of teachers, aides, and other staff, multitudes of programs and services, and a large majority of the tools and classroom supplies in our classrooms. We want to continue this. We want to continue the support. I would again plead with everyone in this room, please take care, be thoughtful and honest, and think about the actions that you take. We do not want to see our community ripped apart. Thank you for your time.
Okay, that is the only public comment I have under item 6. So we will go ahead and move into our action item. The first action item is 7A, which is the resolution recognizing and honoring March as Women's History Month. So, as has been our practice, we usually read these resolutions out loud. And Katie, will you read after Hillary? We'll just go down the line.
I have a comment. I would like.
Yes, I can do that.
Hold on one second, Katie. Can you hear Etta? I would like to strike the word men from paragraphs 6 and 7. While, we are very grateful for the men that continue to support women and serve as allies to women, this is Women's History Month. And I'd like to strike those words from paragraph 6 and 7 from this resolution, because the focus should be on women and celebrating women and all the amazing contributions of women and the successes of women in total. So I would like to move that we strike men from paragraphs 6 and 7 from the resolution.
The last two whereas.
Yes.
Board members have.
I guess my only question on, I wholeheartedly agree with you that this is a women's resolution, that those two particular whereases are referring to specific language from something. So I'm just
from the ed code.
right. I know. So I'm just, I just need to think about that for a minute.
Katie, do you have anything to?
I'm throwing it. I didn't give her one word for I could hear it. And then Okay. I'm sorry. Can you repeat our?
I was just wondering, Katie, if you were able to hear Etta's suggestion that we strike the word men from the 6th and 7th paragraphs, and how you feel about that.
I have a thought, if Katie's still thinking about it, if she.
Sure. Can you hear Eve, Katie?
Can you hear me?
I can.
To satisfy both of these, because I have some of the same concerns, that this was to reflect that, but I understand where you're coming from. What if we just struck those two whereases? Is there any need for those two whereases in this statement at all, other than to reflect that the egg code? I assume this is up to us. I'm not sure there's a lot that we lose by striking those two.
I mean, it specifically talks about the focus on women in instruction and curriculum. So our teachers do include quite a bit of focus on women's history and special read alouds. And you saw those kind of things. Focus on curriculum around the historical, and that's what that calls it out.
Yeah, no, I guess as I read this, and I'm doing this on the fly, so apologies. I'm just sort of looking at these two and saying, these are more saying what the egg code says, and this is really a resolution about what our district is saying. So I'm okay with the egg code's doing that, but the other statements, to some extent, I feel like are more representative, I think, of what we want to say as a district, and we don't need to repeat what the Ed code is saying anyway. It doesn't matter as much. In my very quick reading and interpretation and trying to find a good way to make sure we are reflecting what we want to say.
How do you feel about that, Etta?
To strike the two, whereas is the,
Basically, that's 6 and 7.
That's fine. I'm in agreement.
Okay.
I'm fine with that. I just have a problem with, modifying language that,
Is
if
it-
we're
that's
intending
what
to
I agree.
interpret specific language from something, that's where my question.
Katie, how do you?
I agree with Hillary. I'm opposed to changing the wording, something that's coming from the ed code, but I'm comfortable with striking the last two whereas, since they are just reiterated in ed code.
So why don't we go ahead and read the resolution without those last two whereases, and then we'll make a motion after that, if that's the thought of the board, to go ahead and approve the resolution as amended. Okay, so I guess I'll begin. Whereas women of every race and ethnic background have contributed and continue to contribute to our country's triumphs and accomplishments in countless ways, and
whereas women have played and continue to play critical roles in the economic, cultural, and social spheres of our nation's life by constituting a significant portion of the labor force working in and outside the home, and
Whereas women have played a unique role throughout our history by providing the majority of the nation's volunteer labor force, and have been particularly important in the establishment of early charitable, philanthropic, cultural institutions in the country. And
Whereas women of diverse backgrounds have served as leaders in the forefront of progressive social change, not only to secure their own right of suffrage and equal opportunity, but also to abolish slavery, promote fairness, equality, and safety in the workplace, and advance the modern civil rights movement. And
Whereas the role of women in history has been overlooked and undervalued in the past, through its significance is now emerging and assuming its rightful place as an important part of the body of American and world history. And
now therefore be it resolved, the Orinda Union School Board District Board of Trustees proclaims the month of March as Women's History Month and encourages all OUSD classrooms to commemorate this time with appropriate instructional activities and cultural events.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone on the board have any additional comment on this
you
resolution?
to strike that "and" at
yes,
the end of the whereas where we're ending.
We will revise the resolution as amended. Yep,
Okay,
thank you so much.
Thank you.
is there any public comment on this
There's
item?
no public comment on here.
Okay, then this is a resolution and we would need a motion to adopt it.
This is Hillary. I move that we adopt resolution number 24-18, recognizing and honoring March as Women's History Month as amended.
this is a second as amended.
Great, and then we need a roll call.
Trustee Shogun?
Aye.
Trustee Weiner?
Aye.
Trustee Phillips?
Aye.
Vice President Collins-Coleman?
Aye.
President Moxie?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Great,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So now we have the 2023-2024 second interim report. So Mika, and
Sorry, wrong.
that's all right.
Do you want to present from there or where do you want to present?
from here so that I can see.
Sure. Okay.
Not standing here.
Do you want to sit?
Thank you.
Hey, Mika.
It's downloading. We have all sorts of tech issues this evening. I apologize. That's not the one, right? I know. It's this one. I had the right one originally. Okay.
So this is the second interim report.
Okay.
Law requires school district to report out twice, at least twice a year. And the first one was done for October 31st financial status back in December 11th. And this is the second one for January 31st financial status of the district. Next slide shows the annual budget cycle. We start with creating the budget and adopt the budget, state and enact the budget, and we report the first interim, December 11th. This is the second one, blue line, by March 15. And then we close the book, report the unaudited actuals in September, and then we'll have financial report. So first, let's look at the 23-24 revenue. The next slide shows the highlights. LCFF revenue actually increased. This is due to a better number in the P1 ADA. P1 ADA is usually reported at the beginning of January or December, and it came back about 1% higher than how it was in 22-23, which is really good news. That brought about 291,000 more revenue to the district. Federal funds, just as a reminder, we receive Title II and some special ed entitlement. State funds, we receive one-time money and ongoing money. One-time money is like universal TK or music instructional program, those things. Art music instructional material, discretionary block grant, that's no name. We receive 32,000 more, so that was adjusted. Ongoing funds is like lottery, another special ed grants. These are adjusted as well. Local funds we receive from the parent club, One Foundation, and also the use permit revenue, which was reduced for the second interim. We were not collecting as much as we did in the past and also anticipated back in first interim. And also we received some local revenue from other districts for serving special ed students, which declined, so it was adjusted. Contribution to the restricted programs were increased by 163,000. So next slide shows the graphical image of the revenue that we receive. The total we receive is 42.6 million. 64% is LCFF revenue that is based on the ADA, how many days kids come to school. That's 64% from the state, and 26% we receive revenue from local stakeholders. 14% is the parcel tax, and the One Foundation and a parent collaboration is 9%, and other things are 3.1%. The next one shows the chart, sort of numbers. So we listed the budget from adopted budget to first interim to second interim. Changes are the changes from first interim to second interim. So the total state revenue increased by 291,000. State revenue total is 27,000 more, and the local revenue adjusted down by 6,000. Next slide shows unrestricted side. Some adjustment for lottery prior year accrual. It was, fourth quarter was estimated and accrued, but actually it came in a little lower than that. And also local revenue was increased for the revenue received for field trips, OS sports, and also interest earnings. And on the bottom, as you can see, contribution was increased by 163,000. Next slide shows the revenue restricted side. So state revenue increased about 30,000 for art music instructional block grant. 30,000 decrease is the anticipated revenue from other districts for serving the student with disability from other districts. So next slide shows the expenditure. Expenditure, there are many things happening. So we still have one-time money from the state this year. So one of the fund pays for 0.9 FTE of TK teacher, learning recovery emergency block grant, which is one-time money as well. This pays for 0.67 TOSA FTE. 3.0 wellness counselor FTE is being paid by art music instructional block grant. Prop 28 art and music in school apportionment is paying about 3.0 art music teacher FTE. So this is an ongoing fund.
The Prop 28.
Prop 28,
Yes.
thank you. And also one-time educator effectiveness and art music instructional block grant is paying for many professional development, training, hit mentor. Mostly all the PDs are paid out of one-time money. With second interim, we saw increase in tech equipment at schools. We reduced the expenditure budget for legal cost and nurse contract cost. And also travel cost was decreased as well. What increased was special ed contract and also settlement cost. And the budget in expenditure, that is for the donation account, were increased as revenues are received. Next one shows the pie chart for the expenditure. The total expenditure for 23-24 is 32.8 million. The blue part and red part and green part, those are all personnel costs. Blue part, certificated gross pay. Red part is classified gross pay, and the green part is all the benefits. STIRS, PERS, anything that district has to pay to for the employees. So that is about 80% of our budget. Next one shows the chart for expenditure. This is combined. Some movement, we had vacancies in certificated employee that was adjusted with second interim. Classified timesheet, those were increased, so it was adjusted, and benefits were adjusted as well. Books and supply, like I said, tech supply and equipment, that was increased. Contract and services, since we reduced legal travel cost and also CNI contract cost, so it was decreased by 161,000. Capital outlay was adjusted to the current project. And the other outgo is indirect cost and payment to the county that was adjusted. So next one shows the unrestricted expenditures. So some were, you see many negatives. Some were moved from unrestricted to restricted funds. So when you look at the next chart, that is just showing the restricted fund, you will see the increase in certificated salaries, classified salary, and benefits.
Go to that one.
So this one is restricted. So the things it was decreased on unrestricted side, that was increased to restricted. So next one is for fund balance. The bottom line, how much we are gonna have. So first chart shows the revenue minus expenditure equals net increase or decrease. At the adopted budget, we anticipated it will be surplus, and then carryover was posted with the first interim, and many times with carryover, there are revenue already recognized in prior years, so only expenditure budget is added to first interim. So it's typical to see, this kind of change. So it's deficit spending, but with the second interim, with the P1 ADA coming back much better, and we saved some money in the expenditure. That made our net decrease much better than the first interim time. So I'm sorry, can you go back to that slide? And the changes for the net increase, it says 175, but it's actually 449. That was just the formula, revenue minus, yeah, it was supposed to be 449, just to note. Next one shows the components of fund balance. So we have beginning fund balance and net decrease equals ending fund balance. Ending fund balance is showing 7.4 million. And then we have non-spendable. This is like the revolving cash and also prepaid expense that we are planning to do this spring. Restricted, this is the one-time grants or any restricted money. That is 1.39 million. Reserve of 3% is 1.28 million, and 6% committed reserve is 2.57 million. And assigned, this is like school site money or lottery money. Those are assigned, and 434,000. So the bottom line is 1.65 million. This one shows the fund balance that we anticipate for the other funds. So general funds, like we talked about, 7.4 million. Cafeteria funds, we are anticipating to have 735,000. This is, we are planning to purchase equipment and redo some of the stuff. Much needed.
And hire, at the start of the year, we planned on hiring a service, because we could, for food service. And tomorrow we have an RFP meeting with the CDE, which is great, yeah.
Deferred maintenance fund, it shows 128, but we have the project being done in summer, so that will be next year's. The payment will be done after summer work is done. Building fund, this is measure E and I. Fund 25, this is for developer fee. We can use it to pay, to accommodate for the increased enrollment.
And the board, you may remember, we're going to be using this significantly with the expansion of, with the Basque and using the classroom at the Sleepy Hollow, yeah.
And then we have Fund 40 for capital outlay. Fund 51 is debt service fund for measure E and I. Fund 63, that's Basque. We anticipate to have about 435,000, and we are planning to hire a staff, more staff, additional staff.
And pay for the facility rental, portable rentals, yeah.
And Fund 71, this is for OPEC fund.
And the fund, sorry, the fund 63 and 13, those both have to be zeroed out, or which is the funds that have to be?
We can restricted this ending fund balance. So we restricted it just to be used for Basque.
Right.
So we can carry it over.
We can carry it over. Okay, thank you.
So next we have multi-year projections. The first, we have a chart for the assumption. Next page.
Oh, sorry.
Enrollment, we anticipate it to go up, which is really good. We are increasing enrollment while many others are decreasing. Average daily attendance percentage. So this is ADA that we are gonna get LCFF revenue funded based on. Since P1 came back really good, we tried to carry the trend. So the assumption is we are gonna carry it 96.5% and improve a little bit in out 2 years. Then quota increase is 1.5%, and the quota adjustment, CPI adjustment, these are based on the school service numbers. You notice 24, 25, it was about 4% before. Now we have the new number, it's 0.76%. And 25, 26 percentage was adjusted too. Student rate hasn't changed, and we haven't heard anything about the money changing. First rate will go up. The next slide shows the assumptions. In 24, 25, in the multi-year projection, we decreased 2.0 teacher FTE and 0.5 TOSA FTE. 1.0 campus supervisor FTE is vacant this year, but we anticipate to hire someone, so it was added to 24-25 budget. 0.9 FTE TK teacher FTE will be moved from one-time funds, which is universal TK, that will be fully spent, so it will be moved to unrestricted fund, general fund. In 25-26, in the multi-year, we increased 2.0 teacher FTE, responding to the increased enrollment. TOSA FTE 0.67 and the 3.0 wellness counselor FTE will be moved from one-time funds to general funds. So after 24-25 and 25-26, we are going to have many movements from one-time funds to general funds. Nurse contract will be increased in 24-25 because this year we have only half a year, part of the year. So next year it's going to be entire year unless we hire someone. So it was increased in 24-25. Next year we have election cost, social study adoption, math expression cost that was added to 24-25. Interfund transfer to deferred maintenance funds that is booked in 24-25 and 25-26. And general cost increase per CPI is included in the multi-year. So this shows the chart. Multi-year projection for 23-24 current year and next year and 2 years out. Fund balance to the expenditure this year is 17.4%, next year 16.6%, and then 17.3%. Unassigned to expenditure ratio goes up in 3 years. So at the end, Orinda's second interim budget review. Notable thing is ADA was improved, and which brought much needed revenue, LCFF revenue. Quota is set to 0.67% in 24-25 school year, but this can still change. And even though it doesn't change, 0.67% quota doesn't cover the step and quota increase and PERS increase and workers' comp rate.
7.6 should be right. 0.7.
It's not.
Thank you. That's okay. Just want to make sure.
And the one-time grants are expiring. Some in 24-25 and most of them in 25-26. So whatever the expenditure that was paid by one-time funds are moved to general fund. That's notable and increasing special ed cost and facility repair costs. So the second interim we brought you to the board with a positive certification for you to. Any questions?
I'm sure our board members have questions. I don't know who would like to start.
I mean, this was super thorough, so I feel like we've covered this a lot recently. I really appreciate you walking us through all of it. I just wanted to, so there were two things that needed to be corrected in here. I just want to make sure that we're clear on what those were. So one was the, let me go back.
The net increase.
Right, the net increase, so that was for. Which was that on? Sorry. 18.
And the quarter percentage.
And the COLA percentage.
24.
Right.
So those two will be corrected and the revision will be posted.
And just to be clear, the COLA percentages that's based upon the, the state numbers, but the 8.22 isn't necessarily what, because 64% of our budget is LCFF and the remainder is not, so the 8.22 doesn't apply to the remainder of our budget.
The LCFF revenue, the rate, the per ADA rate is something state sets up.
Right.
That is 8.22% increase from last year.
Right.
But that's only a segment of the.
Right, that's what I'm trying to understand, is that's only a segment of it because that's based upon the 64%. It's based upon the rest of, yes.
Right.
You said that right now we haven't heard about the PERS increasing, but with everything else, cost increasing and everything, do you think there's a slight chance that we'll hear about something changing there?
Well, PERS rate usually changes.
Yeah,
And they don't meet until end of March.
I mean, stars, thank you.
So we'll not know until,
No, go ahead, keep saying.
we'll not know until April. So many times when we are developing the budget for the next year, we may or may not find out about the final PERS rate.
My understanding, Mika, is the PERS can change any year. They don't have a limit.
Yeah.
PERS, by the board.
Yeah.
Their board. STIRS is done, I believe, based on the legislature. So they're done at the 19%. So that's why they have been increasing.
Okay.
But PERS can keep going.
Keep going. Okay, thank you.
But that's the one we have.
Yeah,
But STIRS is the one that affects most of our
Right.
employees, not
right.
PERS. So,
Thank you.
Katie, I just wanted to make sure you have an opportunity if there's anything you'd like to ask.
Thanks, Karen. I don't have any questions. I appreciate it. I feel like we have seen the budget come along the way in detail. So, since we've been following the numbers so carefully, this is what I expected to see, and I don't have any questions about it. Just putting it together. I think it's thorough and it makes sense. And I appreciate that you're continuing to update based on what we're hearing from the state. I know that's a constant. That's constantly moving.
I also just want to point out, and I know we have a public comment, that this right here, I don't quite understand the ratio, Mika, so I don't know if you can maybe explain that last line on assigned to expenditure, because we haven't not.
That's new to us.
But the fund balance is the reserve, but this chart does not include any kind of additional bargaining agreements.
Yes, that is
So
correct.
this is just based on second interim because we cannot include something
Correct.
we don't know.
Correct.
And I just wanted to point that out to the board because we have had presentations where we have included tentative something, but we can't do that on a second interim. Second interim's official numbers that are in the bank. I just want to, okay.
Thank you.
I just want to make sure, but can you explain the unassigned to expenditure? What does that mean, the ratio?
That is the unassigned number. So like if you look at 23-24, 1.65 million divided by the expenditure, 42 million.
Okay. And why is that important?
That is one of the indicator.
Okay.
So how much unassigned amount we have against the total expenditure that we need to pay on this.
Okay. Thank you.
Can you help me understand the enrollment and why it would be 1% higher than we thought? I mean, theoretically, we would know how many children are sitting in the desks at our school. So why would that number be higher at the point of second interim?
Well, when we did the P1 ADA in December, kids came to school more than last year.
Yeah.
And also, the enrollment increase really helps too. Compared to CVID time, we have much more students.
CBED is in October,
October
right?
first, like Tuesday on Wednesday, excuse me, thank you. That's not voting. So last year's ADA dramatic went down in what we've used to seeing in Orinda. So we actually lost like $350,000 from revenue based on historical ADA. So we adjusted our ADA based on P1, P2 from last year.
I see.
So then due to attendance going up this year, we added back the revenue and based on enrollment going up from this moment in time of second interim versus first Wednesday in October.
So there seem like there are two factors here. One is the actual number of students and the other is the number of days our students are actually in class.
Correct.
And it
Not
seems
percent of students attending.
attending.
Yes.
Okay, so it seemed like in the past that percentage was more in the 98%. And I know maybe during winter kids get sick more or there's other reasons for absences, but is there anything we can do to bring that percentage back to what I think was more historically?
Historically, I think Orinda had like 97, 98%, and it really went down with COVID.
Mhm. So
And
it's still
Across
COVID.
the state.
Right.
last year, we were still recovering. But overall, I think Orinda is doing really well, considering many district has chronic absenteeism. Right now, we are about 96.5, and usually P2 ADA goes down
Mhm.
compared to P1.
But ours did not.
No,
No,
P2 is in
historically
April.
did. So it's
Okay.
pretty typical. So
Okay,
it will probably go down a little bit
okay.
with winter and,
That's what I was wondering, yeah.
but hopefully it will.
But I don't know, Claire, if you want to add some attendance, yeah.
Yeah, when I subsequently to be doing the attendance presentation, we're meeting with every school. So Artis Atkins and I have gone to every school site. We've met with the attendance clerks. We've met with the front office people. We're working on having robust attendance support in our newsletters. I know a lot of our teachers are also talking about the importance of coming to school. If you're sick, you get to be sick, right? Like we don't want students sick, but we definitely want you in class, right? Must be present to win. So that's kind of our the way we're going about it. We're also weekly counting students' absences who may be falling in some of the more risky areas. We're following up with our SART process. If you have 3 unexcused absences, families get letters. 6 unexcused absences, you get a letter and a school attendance review team meeting. 9 unexcused absences, a letter, and a school attendance review board meeting. I also do want to say that I'm in contact with our neighboring districts. We're all talking about attendance and how to increase student attendance, and also really addressing mental health issues that students are facing that are leading to some of our attendance issues, but we're really trying to tackle it one child at a time, but also through a district-wide attendance push.
It's certainly a nationwide challenge, so, yeah.
From a financial point of view, it doesn't matter to our financial picture whether a student was an excused absence or an unexcused absence. We still do not receive revenue for them, even if they were sick or something else.
Correct. Only if they're present.
Only if they actually are able to be in class.
That would be helpful, I think, maybe at the next April, whatever, to show, if you have time and all the things, of a chart of what it's been like over the past few years, 3 to 4 years prior to COVID, maybe, so we can see the difference.
Sure. Okay. And then I had just one other thing. I see the list of other funds. We have the bond measures, measures E and I have their own building fund, but there's no separate fund here for our parcel tax measures. Can you talk about our parcel tax dollars and where they are in our budget?
Parcel tax dollars are in general fund, but it's restricted side. So it's not commingled with other general, unrestricted general fund. It has specific resource code. So it is counted separately.
These are legally protected, like there's, like, you can't use Measure E and I funds other than what is
For the
legally,
buildings.
or BASC. BASC must be spent on BASC. Capital, kitchen, cafeteria must be spent. I mean, there's a list of like, here's what you can do. Parcel tax comes with what the citizens, but it's
Approved.
got to go.
What's the language on the ballot, though? I
It's
mean.
the language on the ballot that the district selected.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
But it doesn't have to go in this special.
Right, it's not a separate fund, it's part of
not
our
this
general
kind of
fund. So there is a public comment if there are no more board comments. Mr. Brennan?
Good evening. As always, thanks to all OUSD stakeholders who are in attendance tonight for taking the time out to be here, and to the board for making space for teachers to share their perspective tonight. OEA members would like to respond directly to the district's budget presentations, as well as comments made following public discussion at the school board meeting in February. As teachers filed out of that meeting in unison, someone in the room posited that we should stay for the budget presentation. And to that, teachers would reply that we did. Many of us listened to in our cars on the way home, or while we cooked dinner for our families and made preparations for the school day to follow. Others still reviewed Vice President Palmer Collins' minutes on the presentation as they were able. And aside on that note, she faithfully executes the tremendous responsibility of keeping teachers in the loop when we are unable to, or collectively choose not to attend. And Catherine has done so for years. To be perfectly clear, teachers are listening intently. And to that end, we expect any communication about the budget to be transparent and comprehensive. It falls on district advisors to be forthcoming with the community about exactly which funds are restricted by law and which are merely contingent on board policy and thus subject to change. Furthermore, speculating that OUSD could be forced to pay allocated funds back to the state years down the road is frankly implausible and has no precedent in California's history. Such insinuations fall outside the purview of any district official in this room, who should defer to the state on such matters. We also ask that the district be clear in its budget projections that they are just that, projections. Very conservative extrapolations at that. If you take a look at the forecasted budget surpluses for the last few years, up against the actual surplus each year once the budget is enacted, you'll notice a bump of a few $1 million every single time. Year after year, we see the same doom and gloom forecast in the district's budget presentations, only to find a much more favorable reality in the enacted budget in the fall, conveniently after labor negotiations have ceased. Let's stop making that mistake at the expense of talented and qualified teachers who are leaving Orinda students in search of better pay and benefits elsewhere. As before, OEA hopes to take part in a productive and collaborative conversation when we sit down for mediation next week. We believe we can reach a swift and favorable conclusion at that time. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Are there any additional board questions or comments on the second interim?
No, thank you.
Then I'd like to request that someone make a motion to approve the second interim report.
This is Hillary. I move that we approve the second interim report.
This is Eve, I second that.
And Angel, will you conduct the roll call?
Yes. Trustee Shogun?
Aye.
Trustee Wiener?
Aye.
Trustee Phillips?
Aye.
Vice President Collins-Pullman?
Aye.
President Hoxie?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you. And thank you, Mika, for your work putting this together. The next item tonight is Resolution 24-19, reductions in particular kinds of services, certificated positions. Brian's going to present for us.
Right, thank you, President Hoxie. What you have before you is a resolution focusing on what's referred to as a particular kind of service. And at this time, the district administration recommends a PKS decrease in the number of certificated positions for the 24-25 school year due to a reduction in a particular kind of service, specifically due to reduced enrollment at OIS, as well as a decreased student enrollment in elementary special education programs. It should be noted, as we just heard, that there is an increase in enrollment at the elementary level, particularly in the TK area. As those states continue to expand, we'll continue to acquire more and more students at the very young level. So we kind of have a bubble of students moving up through the grades. But right now, the bubble has come down a bit in the middle school level. This March 11th resolution today will result in preliminary notice to affected employees, and a final notice will occur by May 15th. This 2-month time period will allow the district to once again review the recommended PKS decrease. So at this time, the total PKS decrease is equal to a 3.67 full-time equivalency, or FTE, which constitutes a 1.0 OIS art, a 1.17, which is one section of OIS French, a 0.50 OIS literacy teacher on special assignment, a 1.0 district math teacher on special assignment, or TOSA, and a 1.0 elementary special education ISP in the mod severe credential area. So at this time, the district is recommending a 3.67 PKS decrease for 24-25. Any questions?
So to be clear, PKS is particular kinds of service. Just want to make sure that we're, and this recommendation is really enrollment based. It's not budget.
Absolutely, enrollment based, yes.
Thank you.
And I just want to add, I mean, reductions are really, really challenging, always, regardless of how many staff members. And this decision was really not lightly made. Brian and I met with all sorts of staff members and OIS and our principals at K-5. I mean, we counted and recounted and recounted our students, and it's just this, it's the enrollment and how many students and how many classes do we have offering. I also want to assure the community that we are not cutting programming. We still have art, we still have French, so there's still programming for our students. It's how many sections of those programs are there.
Clarifying question. So you're saying student enrollment at OAS is going down, or in art,
within
and
certain
French, and okay.
Well, yeah, so within, which is not, we don't have filled classes, correct?
The overall enrollment in the school is decreasing a bit as the bubble kind of moves through OIS. And with that is.
It has for the last couple of years, yeah.
Yes, and so we've maintained, say, enrollment or projections and class size for courses for 900 students, but we have 800 students. We have much smaller, we have some shrinkage, one could say. And so we're looking at to right size those classrooms with keeping the programs in place.
And when we look at future class sizes, for example, this TK cohort is incoming, it's going to be so down the road.
Or interdistrict transfers or,
right.
or examining our electable offerings and so on. So looking at all of that, absolutely, yeah.
Can you explain a little bit the elective process at OIS so board members can understand a little bit better? It seems like perhaps students are also selecting different electives, and so there aren't as many students selecting the art elective.
Yeah, I mean, our student enrollment in one way drives the process, and our student selection drives the process. So that's what happens in our secondary, so middle school and high schools and all. In elementary, you have, packages of students going into first grade, second grade, and that's what drives the how many staff members. If we don't have students signing up for certain courses, can't quite force them into that, right? We have students sign up. So every winter time, students sign up for their electives at the middle school. And they have choices, first choice, second choice, third choice, and their alternates. So we fill up the classes based on their priorities. And then if there's no more room in those classes, we look at their alternate selections. And then we move them into the alternates. But ultimately, I think we currently have too many elective seats for how many students are available to fill those seats. So, our class averages would be below teens if we were to not make some right sizing.
Well, to Edda's comment earlier, I would hope that there would be a review of the electives overall at OIS, just going forward.
Yeah, I think we're hoping to basically have a course catalog for next school year. We're examining what kind of electives are we offering, working with the OIS staff and counseling, moving up the selection process, maybe putting in some, maybe you don't take the same class 3 times, maybe you examine taking this class before this class, maybe this middle school is a good time to explore different electives. So what does that look like? But we also do want to honor that the kids follow their passion. So if they want to take 3 years of music, they take 3 years of music. They want to take French and not take Spanish, that they take French and not Spanish. It's really hard for us to force kids to take into something that they don't want to take, right? And that's been our So I think, but it is cleaning up the process of how they sign up. What does that look like? Working kind of with a committee, and we're starting this week a little bit up there with the master scheduling, but also trying to work, as Brian was talking with the different staff members up there, is this is a preliminary reduction. Over the next couple of months, working with examining further our enrollment, looking through our transfers that don't come in till after spring break, right? Because they don't get released by other districts. Continuously working with our staffing and seeing, hopefully pulling these back. Because the final notices don't come until May.
Katie, did you have anything you wanted to ask about this?
No questions. I think my questions are actually answered earlier. The questions that have been asked. I just want to underscore, please, that programs are not being cut here, but I do understand that some right sizing is necessary. We're still maintaining small class sizes, which is another great thing about Orinda. So this still serves that, but right sizes where necessary. I think that's the responsible thing to do. And I agree with the comments made about tightening the course catalog potentially and streamlining that elective process a little bit more. But I think this is not necessary.
We do have 2 public comments on this item. Ms. Palmer Collins.
I want to make sure that you understand that this is a program that will no longer be fine art at OIS if you make this decision. There will be sculpture, but there won't be drawing, painting. It's a different class. Though I'm aware of the district's budget challenges, I was shocked to see this item on tonight's agenda. When Superintendent Glennie first told the union that the district would be right-sizing at the middle school, it was in the context of justifying the offer of a 3% cost of living increase by proving to us that the district was already doing everything it could to increase the general fund. We were assured that right-sizing would be accomplished through attrition. We were also told that personnel reductions farther from the classroom could not happen because it would upset parents and that they might stop making financial contributions as a result. It's hard for me to imagine that parents will not be upset by the loss of this elective at the school that every student in the district attends. I will go further and say that the loss of this elective will profoundly impact the wellness of our students, an area that Ms. Glennie has told us is a priority for those who contribute to one. And I'm sorry that Mr. Rogers could not stay to hear this. Fine arts is often the only way middle school students, particularly those in the most vulnerable populations, can express themselves. I see this often when I'm meeting with my Pride Club members. Eliminating this outlet for them during their school day will have devastating consequences, as will removing the compassionate, community-building teacher from their lives. I do not disagree that the district needs to make difficult decisions about budget priorities, but these decisions should be made as far from the classroom as possible for the sake of our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sachs?
Hi, everyone. Thank you, board and district leadership. I'm not generally one to speak, but I feel like we're about to make just a huge mistake. So this Art 1 class, I'm just going to use the name. So Mr. Ferguson, Sean Ferguson, I've gotten to know him and see his class over the last 2 years. Like, we're next to each other. I see the way these kids come into this class. More than my own, I'm jealous. Like, so excited is the thing that gets them through the day. It's just incredible, the relationship that this particular teacher has with the students, the excitement that these students have for this elective, for this class, with this teacher. I think we're about to make just an unrecoverable loss, you know, especially if we're going to be looking for a, you know, possibly increasing enrollment in 2 years with the bubble. I mean, in this time after COVID, you know, all the mental health, school refusal, all the issues that kids are dealing with, I can't tell you how many times I've really heard kids say, I'm excited for today because I have art with Mr. Ferguson. Like, they come to school, that is the thing that gets them through the day. I mean, personally, I've, you know, never, you know, like for like I've never seen such an amazing, just, you know, newish teacher. I mean, just above and beyond. Like, every, like, besides, sorry, I'm just losing it. This is so I think so important for our kids. So I just hope, I know that the budget's hard. I know that there's a lot of things we're facing. If there is anything we can do to keep this position, this person for these students, I mean, I think it's absolutely the most important thing we can do. Anyway, I'm sure I have other stuff, but that's it. So thank you.
Thank you. Back to the board for discussion.
I mean, I would like some clarification on the art program that's continuing, just so we have an understanding of what remains if we approve this tonight. I would agree.
Well, we can't discuss any names.
Right.
With regards to programming, I'm not quite sure where the idea is that we're cutting a specific class. So there's not one class that's being cut. But it is literally by signups. So I don't know that.
But it's not cutting fine arts and keeping sculpture.
No, it is not. Well, it's not.
Is it possible to just see, I know you mentioned going through all the electives, and as we look at enrollment and we're waiting for transfers or interdistrict transfers from other school districts, to see what the final.
Well, the decision has to be made by
March 15th.
That's right.
So that's the preliminary, again, preliminary decision. Final decision is by May 15th.
So if we made this decision by
Preliminary
March
notices
15th,
are by March 15th. This is the last, and that's the unfortunate timeline from the state. I want to echo that. I mean, again, you're not discussing specific personnel. I understand that there are specific comments being made. And I'm not disagreeing with any comments that are publicly made, and I don't think that Dr. Inglesby is either. It is very heartbreaking in how things fall out when it comes to the reductions. The question in front of the board, and it's outside of even the budget, it is money related, but we're talking about, does this district support class sizes of 8 to 10 kids?
You're saying, clarifying question here, that's
That's
all
all we're talking about. It doesn't, because when you put in students into classrooms, you're not putting them, by teacher, you're putting them into classrooms. And then the teachers are given reduction notices by seniority, but our art signups that's what we're talking about.
So with our current capacity of teachers, we would have these classes.
Unless we're putting students that have not signed up at all for art.
And just to clarify on what would happen if the reduction were to happen, you'd have some fewer number of classes because you'd have one less teacher. But those classes could teach different things. As mentioned, there'd still be more than one class. So you could have a sculpture class, you could have a fine arts class, but they probably all have the same teacher. But that would just be all split across the teachers.
Correct.
Classes and sections at this point. And then those class sizes would be closer to the typical
low 20s.
20s.
Low 20s.
Low 20s.
And then for French, you're saying more students are either not signing up for French or they're signing up for Spanish?
Correct. But we're still offering French 1A
program,
and 1B,
yes.
correct?
Right.
But I mean, we're very lucky to have low class sizes, and we support that with the budget. I say low class sizes, average at OIS, we can average 26. More typical numbers are around 30, but we go up to 26. But we're talking about, are we going to support classes, which on an emotional side, yes. We want to save every single teacher, but are we can our budget support, can we support class sizes in tens, below 10, 12s?
I don't think that we can. I think my concern really just has to do with the program as it continues and what it looks like. So that's what, aside from this resolution itself, that would be my concern.
This is it's a very hard decision.
It is very hard.
To consider. We haven't had a PKS reduction in 10 plus years. And we're faced with the reality of what these classes look like. We said 10 kids, 11 kids in some of the courses. Not one class, not two. A number of classes, so.
Katie, did you have any other questions or comments you'd like to add?
I guess that I think the timeline that we're working with is important to keep in mind with the March 15th deadline. And so as this is up as the preliminary notification, I think that's the prudent step. As much as I would like to be able to support class sizes of less than 10 for the emotional aspect of it or for what the kids need, I don't think that we can support that budgetarily. And again, the programming piece and still offering these programs is really important to me. I think that's been already said multiple times. I certainly understand that there's personnel involved and that's a difficult decision. But again, because of the timeline and because it's preliminary at this moment, I think that's a necessary thing to do.
Well, this is on for a vote. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I will make the motion. I know this is preliminary but it could wind up being final. It's a very hard motion to make. I'm not happy to be making this motion, but I understand the need for it. I mean, I would like to just echo again that I'd like to ensure that that program is really reviewed in terms of what's remaining there. And don't like seeing any kinds of cuts whatsoever in terms of our personnel. And so I'm struggling to make this motion, but I understand the need for it. So with that, I move that we approve resolution number 24-19, reductions, particular kinds of services, certificated positions.
And I would like to echo all of Trustee Wiener's comments and context and second the motion.
Great.
Okay, Trustee Shogan,
Aye.
Vice President Collins Coleman,
I don't like this like everyone else has said, and I would really like to see what the schedule will look like. But I just want to see it more, and I understand this is very challenging, so I need to see it. I need to see a full picture. So I abstain.
Trustee Wiener,
Aye.
Trustee Phillips,
Aye.
President Hoxie.
Aye. The motion carries 4-1.
Could we take a short break?
Yes, let's take a break.
Thank you.
Still live?
Great.
Just one sec. Katie, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Great. Welcome back. So next, we're on Resolution 24-17, authorizing an increase in developer fees, and this is a public hearing. So, do I need to open the public
Yes.
hearing now? I will go ahead and open the public hearing. And Mika and I.
This is all Meek.
All Mika. Okay, great.
It's all you, Mika. Just let me know which ones to project, the resolution or the report.
Resolution.
Okay. Okay.
So, State Allocation Board adjusts the level 1 developer fee rate every 2 years. Developer fee is collected for new development of residential, commercial, or the addition to the existing houses or commercial property. There's a rate and it gets adjusted 2 years. And it was released January 24th. We had been working with the company to do this study. And the purpose of this study, developer fee study, is to show if the district meets the requirement to charge whatever the amount that state allocation board releases. And they gather different information from the district and also city, different places, and see if the district meets the requirement. So the study shows that they recognized at least 110 residential units will be added next 5 years. The current capacity of the district is 2,698 enrollment, which is not including the portable. We have some portable added, but it's not included. So right now, it's about 94.5% capacity. And if we keep adding, not we, but the new development is created and keep having more people moving in, our enrollment will go up. And there was reasonable estimate that shows that district will need the new facility in near future. And the study shows that the estimated facility cost for the increase of enrollment could be $8.45. The highest that the state approved was $5.17. So the study shows Orinda is meeting the requirement to charge the highest amount. Now, Orinda has agreement with Kalanet, and whatever the fees collected, 70% comes to Orinda, and 30% goes to Kalanet. So the dollar amount that the Orinda will charge per square foot is suggested $3.62. For commercial building, it will be 0.59 cents. And rental storage, mini storage, if it's rental, that's going to be for 4 cents. And this was brought to you as a resolution to adopt this change.
Does the board have any questions? I have one question. So the city of Orinda is required to present a housing element to the state. Do the forecasts that were part of this include any of that additional housing that the state is mandating we plan for in Orinda?
unless it's in the plan or something.
Specific?
By the city,
Mhm.
it was not.
Okay.
So to Kara's point, like ADUs or any of those, no?
One ADU would be additional square
Additional square
footage,
footage,
so
right.
we would get,
Get some of that.
we would get revenue from that.
From that.
As long as it's more than 500 square.
I don't think we would collect very much from ADUs. No.
I couldn't hear you.
I was just saying, I don't know how much we would actually collect from ADUs.
That's something you could ask the city.
Yeah.
They've had to change the laws. to,
Right, there's been a lot of different,
accommodate
yeah,
a lot of
exactly, so,
ADU buildings.
yeah.
You're right, they're relatively small.
Right,
I mean, it is residential construction. It's like remodeling kind of.
right, it just has to do with the square footage, so that's.
And right now, the money goes, the collected fee goes to developer funds. So it was accounted for voted separately, and we have about 70. And we are currently paying for like mobile modular.
We can only use developer fee funds for providing classroom space or services for increased number of students, right? But it seems clear we're going to need this money if those additional students,
Yes.
we'll
if we're
need a
allowed
lot
to-
more money. If we're allowed to
We
do it,
increase the rate.
If we're allowed to increase the rate.
We should
recommend
increase
that
the
we should
rate.
increase the rate.
That's my feeling.
I think we all agree. I have no public comment. Would anyone like to make a motion to adopt this resolution 2417?
Oh, yeah.
Do I have to close the
Yes.
public hearing first?
Yes.
All right. If there are no further comments on this, I will go ahead and close the public hearing. And now, would someone like to make a motion to adopt resolution 2417?
Sure, I move that we approve resolution 2417, authorizing increase in developer fees.
I'll second, this is Hillary.
Trustee Shogun? Aye. Trustee Phillips?
Aye.
Trustee Wiener? Aye. Vice President Collins Coleman?
Aye.
President Hoxie?
Aye.
Thank you, motion carries.
Just so that you know, this will be sent to the city, and we will wait 60 days. And this new rate will actually become effective on May 10th.
Of this
Thank
year.
you.
This year.
2020.
I would love some follow-up on the ADUs though.
Yes, we wrote that down as a
Okay, great, thank you.
Also bring it up at our 2x2.
Yeah.
Great, thank you, Mika. All right, now we have the transportation service plan.
It's all Mika tonight. Mika's board meeting.
So transportation service, they're different kind. The special ed service was mandated to the district. And that's what we provide. And 2 years ago, state passed the resolution to fund 60% of the cost of the prior year cost. And the transportation plan is need to be bring to the board every year before April 1st. And here's the plan. Right now, since it was mandated, but it was not funded, and it's only 60% is funded for the following year. So right now, the plan includes the transportation to be provided to the student with disability. And we anticipate the amount to be about 180,000 for this year, the expenditure. So 60%, I'm sorry, 60% will be about 100,000.
So that's the only transportation that we have as a district. So we are required to ask for input from a parent group, and we have for 2 years now taken it to the coordinating council for approval. I will just add that with Kara's as our liaison to the Orinda school bus transportation, we have been working for now 3 months or so to see if that JPA and Measure J funds can actually be used for this reimbursement and captured. At this time, we think that hopefully we can do that for next school year, because if we do that, then we have to actually ask for input from our unduplicated students, provide services to our unduplicated students, and that's not done for 23-24. So if we can do that and there's funding available, we would bring an amended transportation plan, which we're allowed to do, as actually our auditor suggested. So in May, if this funding is still available, we would bring an amended transportation plan that would allow us then for next school year to be bringing in Measure J funds, and then that funding would be possibly would bring in more funding towards transportation and lower the costs for our ridership.
Hopefully keep
or
it the
off-
same.
or
I don't
at
know.
least
I don't know
keep
that
it the
it'll
same
lower.
or something, yeah.
Can you share a breakdown of like amount of students and, you know, that were taking transportation and I don't know where they're coming from, or do we have that?
The School Bus Transportation Authority, LSBTA, does know, of course, all the students taking transportation and how many routes we have and who's taking them to what. We're a little unique in Orinda in that we have more routes than other areas because we have a different bell schedule. So we have 45 minutes between the time of our elementary start time and OIS. So we're able to run the elementary students to school on the first route, and then the buses loop back again and bring the OIS students. Other areas like Moraga and Lafayette don't have that kind of a bell schedule, so they're not able to offer as much transportation. But the other areas have more schools that are not served. The only school in our district that is not served by transportation is Delray. All of our other school sites are served by the school bus transportation. And as you might imagine, the routes to OIS are quite popular and full. And
So we have those numbers actually recently. They
Right.
did the study, so I can share those
That'd
with
be
the board.
great.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
I'll send it in a board update.
Data.
Yeah.
And anything we could do to maximize the dollars make a lot of sense. The problem is we can't go back and ask for reimbursement for service that we didn't provide.
Right.
So we need to do it going forward, but not going.
Correct. So in the meantime, this is really the only transportation funding that we have, so. And we have to, by law, bring it to the board before April 1.
Why before you?
That's the state law.
Okay.
Katie, did you have any thoughts or questions on this item?
No, I don't. I've heard all the comments that were made here by board members and it all makes sense. I'm good.
Okay, great. We have no public comment and this item is on for action. So could I have a motion to approve the 24-25 transportation service plan?
This is Hillary. I move that we approve the 2024-25 transportation service plan.
This is Etta, I second.
Trustee Shogan?
Aye.
Trustee Weiner?
Aye.
Trustee Phillips?
Aye.
Vice President Collins Coleman?
Aye.
President Hoxie?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries.
So now we'll move into our measures E&I implementation. And the first item is our audit report for the bond measures E&I.
Yes. Yeah, I'm okay. So we actually, I'm just, here we go. Hi Heather, can you hear us? Can you hear me? Yes, we can. So we have Heather Rubio for Christie and White here to give us a presentation on our bond audit. So if you can just give me a second here, I can project. That's not it. Okay, Heather, you're on.
Yes, so I'm Heather Rubio, the lead auditor on the Orinda 2023 Proposition 39 Financial and Performance Audit for Measures E and I. You go to the next slide. Just to start off, what we do in a bond audit, we want to make sure that you have a bond oversight committee. You'd be surprised on how many people don't establish that when it's necessary. It's one of the rules of having a Proposition 39 bond. So we verify the committee is established. We verify that you have all the correct people on there. So California Constitution has a very specific rules as to who should be on the committee, a member of the taxpayer, a member the business community, and so on. A member, a parent-teacher organization, senior citizens. So there is a number of members. And then we want to make sure that your committee is meeting. So we do that as part of our audit, and make sure that's happening, which it is. And then if you go on to the next slide. And another part of our audit is the financial portion. And so we want to make sure that the numbers that are reported to you in Fund 21, which is where your restricted measure E&I bond funds are reported correctly. And so in addition to the normal course, the district audit we do expanded procedures based off what's being asked of this bond audit. If you go, and again, like I said, this report is only issuing an opinion on measure E&I in the bond building fund, which is 21. And I'm happy to say in the second paragraph of your performance and financial audit report, we believe the numbers that were presented to you, so you would have seen them in your unaudited actuals for 2023, your budget report, are correct, and that we believe they are presented fairly in all material respects. So we didn't have any audit adjustments, and that we believe the numbers that you see and have seen are correct and are including the financial statements. In audit speak, this is an unmodified opinion, which is the best opinion you can get. Okay, next slide. What does that mean? What do we do? Again, we're doing analytics. We're looking at ratios on what we understand is happening with your bond, where the money should be spent, if you're issuing bonds, a number of those things. We're verifying the cash. Your cash for a bond can really only be in the county treasury. So we are verifying that money actually exists there. Accounts payable. For Measure E, you had 3.4 million, and Measure I is 290,000. Those are basically the work that was done before June 30th, but haven't been paid yet. And we're verifying those amounts were reported correctly, and they were. For revenue, really most of the revenue coming in to a Fund 21 is going to be if you issue bonds, right? The money comes in, or the interest earned. And here, in this case, there was interest earned. And any interest you earn on these bonds really needs to go right back into the fund and into Fund 21. And so we're looking at that. And then finally, the biggest piece is your expenses, and there's a lot that goes on there. For Measure B, you had 16.5 million, and Measure I, 16.9 million. And we go on to the next slide. This is where we go a little bit deeper on the performance portion of the audit. So you're asking, okay, there's the financial piece, what's the performance? Really, this is kind of us understanding your bond facilities program overall. We're looking at how it's operating. Are you running? We're gaining a full understanding of your bond program and how it's operating to make sure that there are no risks, that the money isn't being spent incorrectly, and it's being used for what's in the ballot measure. And so we're looking at it as a whole, and what are the approved projects? We go on to the next slide. How do we do that? Really, it's just pulling expenditures. Unfortunately for the district staff, it's us pulling a lot of invoices, a lot of contracts, and a lot of support. Well, I say us pulling, it's really them pulling, it's us reviewing. So for Measure E, it's 49% of your expenditures we looked at, 8.1 million, and we're making sure that the signatures are there, the invoices match. These vendors are vendors that we are familiar with, and this is allowable, these have been board approved. It's followed the chain of command, and again, it's allowed for the ballot measure. And then for Measure I, that's 55%, 9.2 million. We are looking at the contracts, we are comparing it, we are looking at the bidding procedures that were followed, if there's change orders, if we're following public contract code. And I'm happy to report that there were no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses, and you as a district have complied with the compliance requirements for Measure E and I. Okay. Is that my slide? Yeah. So the district did a great job. There's a lot of movement and activity in this bond this year. And again, like I said, we think that the district was great about providing the information we asked for, and it was easy to follow, and I appreciate that. Do you have any specific questions on any of our procedures or the report? I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you, and thank you for attending our meeting virtually tonight. We appreciate it. Any board members have any questions? Everyone seems to be shaking their head no. Katie, do you have any questions?
No questions. Thank you for this report.
Great. I see no public comment. So I would ask if someone would make a motion to accept the Measure E and I audit report.
This is Hillary. I move that we accept the 2022-23 bond measures E&I audit report.
This is Etta, second.
Trustee Shogan?
Aye.
Trustee Wiener?
Aye.
Trustee Phillips?
Aye.
Vice President Colin-Coleman?
Aye.
President Hoxie?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Great. Thank you again for coming, Heather.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are these next items all sort of related?
No.
B, no, they're all separate? Okay. So then
Sorry.
let's move on to B. I was just trying. Let's move on to the approval for proposal from MDC Low Voltage Systems to install the district-wide network upgrades, district-wide security cameras and clock speakers upgrades at Glorietta.
Thank you. I wanted to just give you a bit of the history of this process. And thanks to everyone for coming out tonight. We've got Sajid Solomon and Elizabeth Bornstein.
Thank you.
And we've got our technical systems administrator, Matt Elder, here as well to provide color as needed.
Thank you.
So back in January, during the January 22nd board meeting, the board adopted resolution 2415 authorizing the best value selection process for the district-wide technology upgrades. And this allowed us to determine, to measure the proposals based on a variety of factors, including price, obviously, but also performance, reliability, standardization, lifecycle costs, things of that nature, delivery timetables. So we were having assessing the proposals on multiple measures. On February 12th, the RFP was issued, and the proposal included district-wide network upgrades, district-wide security cameras, and clock speaker upgrades at Glorietta School. You will recall that last summer we had a PA upgrade at 4 of the sites, with Glorietta being one site that has not received the upgrade yet. The RFP was posted on the OUSD website as well as in local newspapers. On the 14th and 15th, we had non-mandatory pre-proposal meetings and site walks with prospective proposing firms. So we took them around to all the sites, toured them around, gave them the inside look of the MDFs, IDFs, locations, all those kinds of things. On the 20th of February, that was our deadline for questions. The questions were submitted to myself and Swinnerton, and clarifications and answers to the questions were posted as addendums on the district website by February 22nd. On the 29th of February, proposals were due. We received proposals from 4 firms: Decotech, IT Management, MDC Low Voltage Systems, StructureNet Inc. for the 4 firms. From the 1st to the 4th, the District Tech Department and Facilities Department and Swinnerton reviewed and discussed the different proposals. On the 5th of March, interviews with 4 proposing firms, again, Decotech, IT Management, MDC Low Voltage Systems, and StructureNet Inc. Were conducted. And these interviews were intended to seek clarification from the firms related to the proposals, to just flesh out the proposals in more detail. On the 6th, the proposals were evaluated by district staff. Again, we were using the best value metric. So you can see the scale here, the criteria. So we were looking at price, vendor financing, performance reliability, standardization with districts and business systems, life cycle costs, delivery timetables, support logistics, available competing products and materials available, fitness of purchase, manufacturer's warranties, and level of responsiveness to the RFP. So on the 6th of March, MDC Low Voltage Systems proposal was deemed to meet that criteria and to be the most advantageous, considering all of those factors. And their cost breakdown essentially boiled down to pre-installation services of about $24,000, district-wide network upgrades of about $1.3 million, district-wide security cameras of $388,000, clock speaker upgrades at $124,000, and markups to a total of $1.88 million. And the timeline is beginning of the timeline that they proposed also was quite appealing to us. We have, obviously, with any school district, you have a summertime window when you can get in there and work long hours and live it through. They are a company that works with school districts quite extensively. They feel that if
the proposal was approved, that they could start pre-work in April and begin teasing out the upgrades that they're going to implement. And then once the school lets out, they can really start working, laying cables, adding drops, things of that nature. Swing shifts are built into the proposal as needed. They feel that they have the personnel to complete the job in this aggressive timeline. They have contingencies in place if work does indeed stretch into the school year, but they don't anticipate it based on the personnel that they're able to throw at this project. So yeah, and again, this is like any school district, our network is, or like most school districts, our network is something that has been kind of patched together over time. And, technically the advent of wide access to Wi-Fi and the need for that access is still a relatively new scenario for school districts. And so I think like most public school districts, we were kind of just patching it together to make it happen. This is an opportunity for us to upgrade and future-proof. It's also an opportunity for us to add a significant layer of campus safety with security cameras and to bring Glorieta School up to the rest of the school district or the rest of the schools with the upgraded PA system, which I feel has been a real step up for the school sites that I've received so far. So,
Is it the same system that the other schools? Okay,
yes,
thank you.
That is another advantage of MDC's proposal is alignment with existing systems. It'll be the same speakers, same model speakers, same management system called Formacast. They are a authorized Verkada dealer, so they're very comfortable with the materials that we request.
That's great.
So, yeah, I mean, one of my questions had to do with timeline. I think you've answered it, but in the proposal, it kind of laid out a 4-month timeframe, so that would put us.
It did. I mean, and I think they will have, when they do their pre-work, they're going to be able to develop, okay, this is what these are the sites that we can do in X timeline. I have expressed to the company that we have an interest in getting Glorieta's PA system up and running, and that's very much a priority for us. Mm-hmm. Having said that, they feel that they can complete the entirety of the project in a given time frame, and in the event that they have to stretch into the early part of the year, they have contingencies such as parallel networks that we can put the district onto. We can maintain Wi-Fi access.
Yeah, I mean, one of my questions just in general has to do with, I mean, we're building this whole new network, which is wonderful. We've needed it for a long time, but, in the event of emergency or power outages or wildfire, whatever things may come our way, is there additional, backup? Not
Yes.
using the right terms here, but.
Yes, the bill of materials includes universal power supply, which is essentially battery backup. So that's a contingency for that kind of scenario.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. So I see that this at least particular vendor is before Verkada, and I know we had discussed that at the bond meeting, but was there just for the purposes of this, was there a separate process to pick that particular security camera vendor and security system vendor, I should really say, or is that really going with the recommendation of this particular?
We discussed it, and I did some canvassing of my job alikes in the Contra Costa ed community, and it seemed like Verkada was the preferred camera. Obviously, there are other systems. We have a different brand here at the district called Rhombus that does the job, but Verkada is generally thought of as like the industry lead or the industry standard. So that was the one we selected.
Okay, and then they went, and since they're there, and while I'm actually completely, I think of this is a January board meeting, but I'm very on board with having gone with the best value approach for this particular one. That being said, we'd still like to make sure, was the economic part of this proposal in line with the other proposals, or was this one much more, much less expensive?
This one, all the proposals received, this was certainly in the ballpark on the lower end.
Okay.
It was not close to being the most expensive.
Okay, that's good to hear.
My understanding is the cost still has to be one of the top factors.
It is.
The top factor. Okay.
The weighted scale, you see,
Yeah.
just has a higher point value.
Okay, and then, and I think I know the answer to this, but just again, for clarity, how does this compare to the kind of the original budgeted amounts for these projects?
The budget amount was 2.17 million, correct? 1.4, so it's under budget. And then that was for the line item specifically AV tech and safety upgrades.
Okay, these are all sort of, okay, that's actually, that's a different number than I was remembering, so that's even better than what I was recalling. Okay.
I mean, we know technology is always changing, innovating, so are there any, I know you went through some of the upgrades, but will we have to do this, again, or is it integrated already in the system? Like how does?
The intent with this design is to add more drops per classroom, so more drops than we anticipate needing for a long time. So basically 6 data drops, essentially like places that you can plug in a network device. Okay. And right now we have Matt, 2 per class?
At Gloria, 2 per class, and
so
most classes in OIS.
Right. So this would be a significant upgrade from what's currently in place. The network cabling, it could be that another opportunity for value engineering would be possibly using existing cabling in place if it meets the need. But there is the opportunity potentially to update the cabling to Cat 6A, which is, I'll leave that to Matt to describe the technical parts of it, but it's lightning fast. So would future-proof us through.
But actually sort of on this note though, how much of the network that we need to run at each of these schools could actually be done through a wireless network as opposed to dragging wires all over the place? And as that technology continues to improve as well, I assume hopefully the next version of this has no wires. Just a big fat wire coming into the.
A saying in IT is wired works. And
I'm getting a lot of nods from Swinnerton.
Yeah, and
I'm just kind of laughing because of like the corporate tech world, like you just never use well, that's not fair. You do when you're running servers, but like for laptops and for depending on what your use case is here for a lot
right.
of
Well, the end user is Wi-Fi. We're not setting people up for Ethernet and things like that. But the actual network itself would be wired Cat 6A or similar cable.
Yeah, getting into a certain place. When you're talking about drops into all the rooms, like that's why I'm kind of like, oh, I'm surprised we're that focused.
There is some of that. So there is Ethernet cable to the speakers, for example. The speakers are an IP-based device, and so those need to be plugged into a drop.
Interesting. And are there, now, sorry, I'm sort of nerding out on this. I assume there are speaker options also that are wireless too. Again, thinking about future, we're going to move down this particular path. But
yes, though again, my gut is just like, if you can plug it in and have it be reliably Ethernet cabled, then that's.
Yeah, the pros and cons being it's a lot harder to change and upgrade than a wireless net. Yeah, the pros and cons both. Okay, thank you for letting me go down that path for a moment. Imagine you want to see more.
The majority of the devices that we're concerned with moving forward will be the IoT environment. So the things like our speakers, our cameras, and other devices like that. Hardwired environments are much easier to secure than a wireless with broadcast signal out to the public. In addition, a lot of these IoT are power over Ethernet devices. And the reason we like devices like that as opposed to a distributed series of devices that are independent, we did look at one of those in years past, but for each one of those devices, because they have their own independent power supply, we would have to provide a battery backup or some kind of failover solution for each individual device that was under, or provide power for the building that they're plugged into. The cost-effective way to target the security and reliability of devices that are connected to our network is better with the UPS that we've put in here, so that if the power goes off in the building, we will retain phones, we will retain speakers, we will retain emergency communication. We've also put in the backbone of a LTE failover. So at the end of this project, we will have a more secure network based on a copper structure that can power the devices in case of a network failure or a power failure or both.
No, that's super interesting. So, yeah, because you're gonna have to bring power to all of the IoT devices. Anyway, so I understand what you're doing here, but so now this sort of.
No, I love it. It's great.
Well, we would have to power the entire building, and that would kind of certainly the expense of putting a generator currently.
This is a nice
far greater than a UPS, and a UPS we can be modular, we can expand, and we can be flexible with. So our flexibility in the future with a network like this is far greater when we start to look at, what kind of devices might come up, how many more things are going to be powered over Ethernet, even things like video communication can go over these cables. And they can be very secure because they're not broadcasting. We can turn on and off the switch old school. That is on or that is off. Nobody can get onto it, not to worry about somebody intercepting signals or anything like that.
All right, thank you.
Katie, after all that, did you have any more thoughts or questions?
No, we've asked a lot of great questions there. So no, nothing further.
Okay, great. Well, this item, there's no public comment, is on for action. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the proposal from MDC Low Voltage Systems to install district-wide network upgrades, district-wide security cameras and clock speakers upgrades at Glorietta School?
This is Eve. I will move that we approve the proposal from MDC Low Voltage Systems to install district-wide network upgrades, security cameras, and clock speaker upgrades at Glorietta.
I'll second. This is Hillary.
Trustee Shogun?
Aye.
Trustee Weiner?
Aye.
Trustee Phillips?
Aye.
Vice President Collins-Coleman?
Aye.
President Hoxie?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Great. Thank you. And thank you
That's
for,
exciting. Thank you for all your.
Thank you.
thank you
Kevin.
for bringing all this, Kevin.
And thank you to Swinnerton also.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so next we have the
And
installation.
Matt.
Oh, and Matt,
Thank you,
yes,
Matt.
thank you. Installation of additional classroom speaker in the new Sleepy Hollow multipurpose room building.
Yes, so the Sleepy Hollow NPR stage area is being used as a classroom space. And as a classroom space, they need to hear school communications or need it. So this needs to have, the clock speaker's been installed. This is a retroactive request to approve that speaker.
It was soundproofed and they couldn't hear anything.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah.
I think we agree they need to hear something.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have any thoughts or questions on this item? And there's no public comment, so would someone like to make a motion?
This is Hillary. I move that we approve payment to IT management for classroom speaker installation in the Sleepy Hollow NPR stage area. This is Etta, I second.
Trustee Shogun?
Aye.
Trustee Weiner?
Aye.
Trustee Phillips?
Aye.
Vice President Collins-Coleman?
Aye.
President Hoxie?
Aye,
Motion carries. Thank you.
great. So next we have a proposal from Bauer Electric, Inc. for clocks and speakers for the new OIS Student Services Building.
Okay, for the OIS Student Services building, the way the bid was structured, it was for the contractor to install owner supplied with the clocks and speakers. So we're getting toward the end of the project. We want to make sure that we've got the items in place. So we reached out, we being us and Swinnerton, soliciting prices, proposals. Bowers Electric was the least expensive and could get it there the soonest to get them installed. So we recommend that you approve the proposal from Bowers to procure the equipment.
So would this be the same speaker system that we've been installing everywhere else?
Yes.
Mhm.
Just trying to make
And
sure.
this item is just for the clocks and speakers.
It's just for the clocks and speakers. The installation is already in there.
Yes.
Katie, any questions?
No.
So we have no public comment and this item is on for action. So would someone make a motion to approve the proposal from Bowers Electric for clocks and speakers for the OIS Student Services Building?
This is Hillary. I move that we approve the quote from Bowers Electric for clocks and speakers for the OIS Student Services Building. This is Etta, I second.
Trustee Shogun?
Aye.
Trustee Weiner?
Aye.
Trustee Phillips?
Aye.
Vice President Collins-Coleman?
Aye.
President Hoxie?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Great. And so the final Measure E&I item is a change order for the Sleepy Hollow Electric and Mechanical Upgrade Project.
The mechanical and electric upgrades, Wagner and Sleepy Hollow are all one contract, one bid, but they're separated as far as their invoicing. As I stated earlier, we've learned a lot of lessons because Wagner was kind of the first online, Sleepy Hollow right behind it. So things come up. There are change orders. They're a part of doing business. These, when they do change orders, when they're putting in the pay app, they'll combine the PCOs, the potential change order, into an AED, which is allowable expenditure directive, where they're all kind of listed. So we're kind of lumping them in on a pay app. This is for the final AED, which put us over the contract amount, unfortunately, on this one for the $35,350.29. We're trying to get the project closed out. By approval of this, we can get this done, closed, and put to bed.
Is this change order mostly because the project was just more difficult than we anticipated and?
Well, part of that, yes. There were a lot of changes before that, kind of push us up toward that contingency cap. These are, one of them is, I'll look at it. I don't want to go off of memory here. One of them was for one wing at Sleepy Hollow. Ran fine when it first came online all summer long, and then it started tripping breakers. We brought Salsa Sub in Marina to investigate, and they discovered that the unit device that the district supplied was a 70 amp breaker. You look in the plans and specs, everything's for a 35 amp breaker. So there's a bit of a disconnect there. There's a submittal process. Everything was submitted on what was supposed to go. District received this equipment with a 70 amp breaker. So that two of the change orders in here are for that. The other one is for a discrepancy in an RFI, request for information, way back in August of 2022, where there was not a lot of room to run conduit for control wires, Sleepy Hollow. So they asked if they could, put it closed in a shroud. The answer was kind of general and vague. Contractor moves on. We end up finding out that all this control wire up on the roof was put in. It's not under an enclosure and subject to rodents coming in and chewing it. So based on the team that we had, the management team, and how they were running it, kind of a little casual, maybe the responding to verbal is, in retrospect, everything can be done a lot tighter. Probably should have been tighter. We worked very hard to negotiate this price down with the contractor as far as we could. We feel comfortable that we're down as far as we can go, and recommend getting it done and moving on.
Has the work already been done, or is it still to be finished?
It's scheduled.
It's scheduled.
It's scheduled spring break.
Great. And where does the money come from? So this part of the project has gone over. There's a finite number of dollars. Where do the extra 35?
It would come out Measure E&I.
Recommending Measure E&I.
The positive, if I could put a positive spin on, again, lessons learned. It's all this that we're enduring now and having come to the board for this has served us well on all of our subsequent projects that we're doing very well on. We're ahead of most things. Contractors are part of it. We have a contractor down Rodan that's actually actively working to find solutions where we feel we'll get there. The positive thing with the lessons learned at Wagner Ranch, Sleepy Hollow, is we've had very few issues with this winter. We've had some very cold days, and they've been now functioning the way that we feel they should.
Anyone else have any more questions on this item? Katie, did you have any questions?
Nothing further. I appreciate all that information, Stuart. It's frustrating to have another overage and to have reached the end of the contingencies and still be over, but you kind of explained how that all came to be, and I think there's been a lot learned, and happy to hear that the processes that we're going through with all of this, with all the projects, are getting tighter and tighter to try to avoid this kind of thing in the future.
I see no public comment, so it seems like we need a motion to increase the contract amount by $35,315.29. Is that correct?
Yep, and that should be the final on this.
So would there be someone who would like to make that motion?
Sure, I'll make the motion. This is Hillary. I move that we approve the change order for Sleepy Hollow electric and mechanical upgrades project.
Steve, I second it.
Trustee Shogan?
Aye.
Trustee Weiner?
Aye.
Trustee Phillips?
Aye.
Vice President Collins Pullman?
Aye.
President Hoxie?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Great. Everyone good to keep motoring through? Wonderful. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So next we have our board policies. Items listed under the board policy section are typically updates and new policies or administrative regulations that have been recommended by the California School Boards Association. These policies are generally acted on by the Board of Trustees in one motion. There's no discussion of specific policies before the board vote unless a member of the board, staff, or public requests specific items be discussed and/or removed from the board policy section. It is understood that the administration recommends approval of all board policies as presented. Each item in the board policy section approved by the board shall be deemed to have been considered in full and adopted as recommended. So we do not have any public comment. Does anyone have any comments on any of the board policies? So would someone like to make a motion to approve board policy items 9B through 9D?
This is Hillary. I move that we approve board policies 9B through D.
Great.
This is Eve, I second.
Great, thank you.
Trustee Shogan?
Aye.
Trustee Weiner?
Aye.
Trustee Phillips?
Aye.
Vice President Collins Pullman?
Aye.
President Hoxie?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Great, and that's brought us to the communications and announcements section of our meeting. Are there any comments from CSEA tonight?
When I spoke earlier, I used the word joy and joyful a couple of times. To use it a few more times in the next couple of minutes. First, the joy I feel as a nerd for you approving this project that I have been working on for years, it should be self-evident. I am so excited to take the next step with our network and to make that backbone improvement in our districts. Thank you, everyone who approved that. Thank you, everyone who was involved in this. Beyond that, working here brings me a lot of joy, and I know it does for my team members and my friends here. I love the community that we have. Education runs throughout my family. My mother was a music teacher in New Jersey, and when we moved out here, she became the textbook coordinator for the Moraga School District, working out of Joaquin, Moraga, while I was a student there, unfortunately. Two of my aunts were public school teachers, one in Louisiana, one in Michigan. My other aunt worked at Penn State. And I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge a person who wasn't in my family, but who was always there when I was growing up. My father's best friend, Dr. Bedford at St. Mary's College. Myself, I worked in daycare when we called it daycare. Now it's before and after school care. I was a math tutor. I was a sailing instructor. And for many years in the private sector, I was a technical instructor for computer systems, other technologies. What I do, and I forgot the most important part, I am so thankful that all of that led me to where I am now. Because what I do, what my friends and my team members here at OUSD do, is because of our joy-filled passion for bettering the lives of the students that are in our charge. No one is here working for money or fame. This simple truth seems to be lost in the ongoing conversation between the district and the union. Mr. Rogers, remind us all of that again tonight. And Brian, if you're watching, thank you so much for being here again. So I just want to say again, please, we, the ones that we represent, all OUSD staff, teachers, are extremely thankful. We are extremely thankful to every Orinda family, every Orinda taxpayer, everyone involved who has contributed to our schools. And if we have not said that clearly enough, if we have not said that loudly enough, we will do better. We appreciate everything you do for us. Unfortunately, we feel that the generosity of our Orinda families and the Orinda taxpayers is being commingled into and leveraged in the district's communications about the ongoing negotiations. And we believe that this is causing confusion and why we are experiencing the issues we are having with the families in Orinda. So we are asking that the district stop using this generosity in their communications about ongoing negotiations. And for me and for my unit, please sit down with us, collaboration, let's find a path forward to make it self-evident that we are all unified in our goal of providing the best possible environment for the students in USD. Please work with us so that the joy that drives our daily work can shine through in a unified voice that can be heard clearly by everybody in the Orinda community. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any comments from OEA? Mr. Shannon?
Brought my water this time.
That's good.
Hi, I'm Charles Shannon. I'm president of the Orinda Educators Association, and I'm most proud that I'm a first-grade teacher here in Orinda, a place where I love. As you know, negotiations between district leadership and OEA reached a point at which both sides acknowledged they were unable to make progress towards an agreement on financial issues. For that reason, OEA filed for impasse with California's Public Employment Relations Board, which means we wish to continue our negotiations with the help of the state mediator. During these challenging economic times, OUSD is not alone in reaching this point. Many other districts have as well. The goal in every case is to have an experienced mediator take an objective look at the issues and help find a productive path forward. OEA is confident that we'll be able to find that path. Today, I want to emphasize the many powerful core values that I believe OEA and district leadership hold in common. Above all, everyone at the negotiations table believes that Orinda students deserve the absolute best educators. We're all passionately dedicated to the excellence of our schools, to making them places where all students thrive when challenged intellectually and as well as supported emotionally. Places where everyone feels a sense of belonging, where classes are engaging and invigorating. In academics, athletics, arts, extracurriculars, we are committed to helping all our students achieve their full potential so they can head out into the world empowered to live out their passions. We recognize that educational excellence depends directly on attracting and retaining exemplary educators of the caliber that have made Orinda a destination district for decades. Anyone who spends time in Orinda classrooms knows how extraordinary our educators are. They're intelligent, caring, dedicated, innovative, committed to understanding every single child and finding the best ways to personalize their instruction to help them learn and grow. We recognize that in order for those amazing educators to be here for our students, they must be able to survive financially in the Bay Area, one of the most expensive regions in the world. Inflation and dramatically rising healthcare, health insurance costs make that prospect more difficult every year, with many teachers contemplating the painful choice of leaving the profession or another choice, moving out of state, like I said earlier. Many of us, actually, Catherine and I were saying, most of us have a second job just to be able to make it. In large part because of the problem of teacher pay, California, and in fact, the entire nation is facing an unprecedented teacher shortage. Many veteran teachers are reaching retirement age, and not enough young people are entering the teaching preparation programs. Schools are also facing shortages of hard-to-fill positions. Like we said the last time we met, our math positions are very hard to fill here in Orinda at OAS. Districts are already in fierce competition for the most talented candidates, and OEA and district leadership all recognize that Orinda will have to bring those candidates here for our students and to keep our current educators in OUSD schools. At the same time, we acknowledge our district's financial situation. We're small, a non-basic aid district with few students in categories that bring higher levels of state funding. Nonetheless, we must fulfill all California state mandates. However, we all know LCFF funding is seldom sufficient to cover the full costs. In addition, OUSD is committed to wonderful programs that have been essential to Orinda's strength. Orinda educators value these as well and agree that our students need and deserve them. Thankfully, we have parcel taxes and the tireless work of the Orinda Network for Education, we call ONE, to help preserve critical programming and provide the necessary resources to offer world-class, nationally competitive education. With growing costs, current funding is not enough, and the district is having to use general fund money to cover an amount above what is donated. While OEA acknowledges the district's financial constraints, the economic reality is that a 3% salary increase amounts to a serious effective pay cut for this year. Teachers will simply be even less able to pay their basic bills than they were last fall. The state statutory COLA, cost of living adjustment of 8.22%, is intended not only to help the district pay its internal expenses, but also to help teachers pay their own actual living expenses. Rising costs for rent, groceries, gas, as well as a very large health insurance increase under the district's current In OEA's view, when the district claims that only 3% of the 8.22% COLA, less than a quarter, can be passed on to teachers, the district's assuming that all internal costs are covered first, and only what is left over afterwards can be shared with educators. In refusing to sell for the current 3% offer, OEA is standing firm and asking for our proportional fair share of the COLA. We do believe OUSD leadership wants to see our educators pay a true living wage. We believe that they share OEA's interest in ensuring what is best for our students, which is retaining and attracting the best educators for our students. But at this time, we cannot reach an agreement about how to make that happen. Thank you for this opportunity to share OEA's perspective. We want to be as transparent as possible with the wider Orinda community. And OEA believes that our schools are strongest when we have clear and open communication among all stakeholders. We encourage community members to stay in touch with us. Please reach out to us if you have questions or you have some ideas. As we continue through this process of mediation, OEA wants to express our commitment to collaborating with district leadership and the Orinda community to reach a viable resolution to our negotiations. We love being educators and love working with our students here in Orinda. At all times, we share the highest dedication to ensuring that the future of Orinda schools will continue to be as strong as ever. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Are there any cabinet updates tonight?
No cabinet updates.
Are there any board reports? Katie, do you have any board reports?
Two things quickly. Last week I had a site visit at Glorietta, which was really great. I love visiting those classrooms, especially because the classroom environments are so welcoming and lovely to be in. And it was great to be there. I also saw Mr. Shannon deliver part of a phonics lesson, which of course I enjoyed. I'm happy to see that program being implemented and being successful there. And then this past weekend, I got to go to the Sleepy Hollow Wizard of Oz play, see a performance in that new NPR, which was pretty exciting and beautiful and well done, of course, by the students. I think that's it for me.
Great, thank you. Hillary, do you have any?
I'll keep it quick. I also had a site visit for my site. We had an OIS site visit earlier. I don't know, that was a couple weeks ago now, but got to go into the new student services building again and walk through with Stacey Wayne and Aida and put on hard hats and glasses. But it's just great to see it all coming together. It looks really, really great. And also just great to go into classrooms there and talk to students. And, we went into a few science classes, we went into the art classroom, we went into Mr. Sachs's class. I don't remember where else anyway, it was just always great to be on campus. We were supposed to have a bunch of steering committees. They've all been moved because there's other things happening and didn't seem like the best use of time to, bring people together until ready to have more conversations. The food services one is one. I'm going to the one Orinda board meeting tomorrow, and I believe we have a board coffee Thursday. Where is that again? That's okay.
Who's attending the board coffee?
I am.
Oh, great. Okay.
Two of us.
Thanks.
Yeah.
That's great.
I think that's it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Hillary.
Thank you.
If
Just one thing to report on, which is the 2x2 with the city we had a few weeks ago. Major topics were the fields and facilities, and particularly the gym at Wagner Ranch, and making sure we're doing our best possible job of ensuring its use between community and school usage. So ongoing, as always, discussions around emergency response and evacuation, and update on the Wagner Ranch nature area. So with that, I will turn it over to you.
great, Etta.
Thanks. I have a Sleepy Hollow site visit this week. We have the mayor's meeting tomorrow. Yes,
Tomorrow. Different time though, 9:30.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
And then we have a Basque steering committee coming up as well, I think. So that's it. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Well, I have many of the same reports and not too much new to offer. So why don't we continue on to the consent calendar? Items listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine and are acted on by the Board of Trustees in one motion. There's no discussion of these items before the board votes unless a member of the board, staff, or public requests specific items be discussed and or removed from the consent calendar. It is understood that the administration recommends approval on all consent items. Each item on the consent calendar approved by the board shall be deemed to have been considered in full and adopted as recommended. Does anyone want to remove anything from the consent calendar?
I actually do, and I apologize if I didn't get a chance to do some research on this until this afternoon. But I would love to chat just briefly about the item F, the Easy Child contract.
Okay. Item F will be removed. Anybody else? So would someone like to make a motion to approve the consent calendars items C through N excluding item F? B through N, excuse me.
This is Hillary. I move that we approve the consent calendar, excluding item F at this point.
This is I second.
Trustee Shogan?
Aye.
Trustee Weiner?
Aye.
Trustee Phillips?
Aye.
Vice President Collins Coleman?
Aye.
President Hoxie?
Aye, except for item D, which I need to abstain from.
I think you recuse.
Recuse myself from,
Yes.
pardon me. I get confused every time. Thank you.
Okay.
Great, so let's talk about item F.
So I guess I just wanted to call this out just because trying to do a little bit of research on the company itself, there's not a whole lot about the company itself, which made me a little concerned, especially relative to some of the other apps that I've seen used either by our own schools or by other schools I've been a part of in their care programs. It does seem very rigorous in terms of like features, particularly on like web-based registration, getting all the parents' information, where it seems to be less just, I mean, again, it's just, kind of rigorous as in things like check in, check out. There's not really an app for that for parents. And I think what they expect people to do is like, do think there should be a device at the check in, check out place, but there's lots of parents coming in at once. So it's really nice to have, a more app-based model. So anyway, I know Cuba's not here, and so she can't really respond to this. So I don't know, Kevin, if you were involved at all in the discussion.
It was Kiva
So it was
who
just-
called various districts.
She feels comfortable and talked to enough that like she thinks it's going to work for them. I will trust her. It made me a little nervous that there's almost nothing on LinkedIn. There's like no employees of the company. It's a little.
So Kiva investigated the various companies.
Okay.
They came down to the two companies that she felt competitor. One is used by neighboring district. This one is used by a couple of Southern California districts. She did call them.
Okay.
She spoke to them personally. She got references from them to see how it's working. Is it working? They're pretty much identical services, except that the neighboring district is like $30,000 contract versus the neighboring district. They're not neighboring district, they're utilized by neighboring district versus this one. So, but there's really no additional, anything additional services than what this one was offering.
Okay.
So she did feel very comfortable in presenting this. That's why we put it actually in consent. But if the board is not comfortable, we can have her bringing it in as an action item at the next meeting.
Yeah, that may be helpful to maybe have a model or, but a run through of how it'll work.
And I mean, it's a 1 year,
It's a 1 year.
contract. I mean, if we want to try it for a year.
Yeah, I think for the
just-
dollar amount.
For the
a
dollar
year,
amount, I
don't
know, I
think
just also am a little worried about what you're gonna hear from the parents if you change the process on them to.
Different
From their ability to do it
Yeah.
kind of themselves versus everybody.
I think it's going to be increasing our options versus decreasing
It
our
does seem
options.
much more robust on
Correct.
this side of
Yes.
registration, which I know is quite a big pain point as well. So
Yes.
like kudos on that part.
Yeah.
It's just when I'm looking at, yeah, there's,
Yeah, they don't.
it's the daily check in, check out. Like there's not a parent app for that. You go around with your.
I just can't answer that question.
Yeah, no,
Right.
it's, yeah.
What's her deadline for this? Does she have a deadline for?
I mean, the sooner we can start implementing, the better, but I don't know
Is
that
that for
the
current or
April,
for next
it's
year?
for next school year. But because they have to start uploading, but I'm not sure that,
If we push to April, yeah, maybe it'll just
wondering.
Sure.
If folks want to,
I mean, my one concern is this contract is valid for 60 days from December 11th.
They understood that was presented to us in December and that was fine.
Okay.
That's fine, yeah.
I mean, I'm fine with
waiting if we can wait without jeopardizing the
I
contract.
do think the dollar amount is
Yeah.
Small, so.
Yeah, so I'm actually almost less worried about that than
Yeah,
like,
more
with the parent, we're gonna hear, yeah.
So
Parent experience.
bring it back to the action item?
I guess.
Sure,
Yes, thank you.
okay.
Okay. Okay, so we'll postpone that until next month.
Okay.
So future agenda items, we have a meeting April 5th, we have meeting May 6th. These are the items that are on it, including this new item will be added to the April 15th meeting agenda. Does anyone have anything else that they would like on the future agendas?
No, it's just kind of crazy that we're rolling towards the
It's the end of the year, fast, right? I know.
Okay.
All right, well, if not, then it's time to adjourn the meeting. Would someone make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
This is Hillary. I move that we adjourn.
A second.
Trustee Shogan? Aye. Trustee Wiener?
Aye.
Trustee Phillips?
Aye.
Vice President Collins Coleman?
Aye.
President Hoxie?
Aye. Great, thank you all, and thank you, Katie, for participating
Thank you.
in the teleconference tonight.
Thank you for putting up with that. Oh, yeah, thank you.
We figured it out by end,
we got it right.
All right, thanks, Katie.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.